Well, great. Well, thanks for joining our little quick podcast for Best of Cobb for members of Best Cobb Business Association.
Yes.
So congratulations on your nomination.
Thank
This
you.
probably is not new for you. But so tell me, why don't you introduce yourself and your business and what category you're nominated for Best of Cobb?
Okay, great. I'm Amee Davis. I am with Davis & Associates Attorneys at Law. We are a full-service real estate law firm. So we are listed under services and attorney under real estate.
So we'll just talk a little bit about business. This is more just to get to know you and sort of know, hopefully inspire other entrepreneurs in the area. So what's keeping you up at night these days?
I think we're in an interesting dichotomy right now in real estate with all of the things that are going on in the news and the media and what we're seeing. Those are the things, you work in an industry for so long and you become not only colleagues with people, but you become friends with those people. And, you worry what the future is going to look like for them based on some of the things that we're seeing in the media and some of the changes that are going to have to be made or appear to have to be made. What the outcome of some of the lawsuits that we're seeing going on are. And then also just really the amount of oversight that we're seeing in the lending industries, as well as some of the oversight that we're seeing in sort of the watering down, if you will, of services that we're seeing about who's important in our industry and who isn't. And it's interesting to me that we have sort of these powers that be that decide who's important for our industry and who isn't. And so those are the things that right now we are seeing highlighted in our industry that are of concern.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, and how long have you been doing this type of work?
So I've been doing this since 2000. So I've been doing it for quite a long time. Yeah.
Other than the, downturn in 2008, do you feel like we're experiencing sort of a shift in the industry right now that's going to have long effects, and for your office, any effects on the legal side?
So for me, it's interesting because I am not a predictor. So that is not what I do, and I'm not good at that piece of it. What I can tell you is this market is really interesting because it's different from the downturn that we saw in 2008 and 2009 in that we have incredible appreciation of values of homes still. We're still seeing homes getting multiple offers on them, but we're seeing higher interest rates, and then higher inflation, which typically don't go hand in hand with what we typically see when we see higher inflation and higher interest rates. We typically see the stalling out of sales prices, the reduction of sales prices, and we haven't really seen that in our market this year. So it's an interesting piece of information for us to kind of take in and see how that's going to play out. I'm not really sure how it's going to play out. I think a lot of people are sort of waiting. We're going into an election year, which always has a little bit of a stalemate on our industry. And we always see a little bit of a lag because people are waiting to see what's going to happen because we don't like uncertainty, just like the markets typically don't. People buying homes don't like uncertainty. So I think that's going to be an interesting piece of what happens this year. For our business, we are continuing to do what we always have done, which is really facilitating those relationships and those long-term relationships that we've had for so long, and then bringing in people that are new to our industry and helping train them and helping work with them on being the best they can be in our industry. So that's a really kind of a focus for us this year.
I love that. So from a macro level, we were seeing a lot going on. Let's go to the micro level, like your clients, your attorneys. Share a little bit about what your business looks like and sort of what sets you apart and puts you in that category to be nominated as Best of Cobb.
So it's interesting because I don't know why people nominate me. It's just, I've had such long-term relationships. I will say, I do think one of the things that really sets us apart is that we really do micromanage the process of closings all the way through start to finish. And I think that's a little bit different. We don't have a hub where the file's being processed somewhere and then sent over to the offices for finalization. Whoever you are working with in that moment as your processor is your processor throughout that closing. So you're not switched around to a lot of different people. Our attorneys all touch all of the titles. We're always reviewing those because that is the biggest piece of what we do as attorneys is reviewing these titles, looking at the risks of issuing the title insurance, making sure the titles are cleared for our buyers. So the micro piece of that is really still in full effect. We just have really good implemented rules and procedures in our office to make sure that we try to catch every little piece of anything that could come up on the beginning end so that it's a smooth closing for our clients at the end.
Wonderful. What happens if that's not done? Like I think a lot of people don't really understand. They think they go into a closing attorney's office and they sign some paperwork and it's really just moving things around. But how are you protecting those buyers and sellers and ultimately a bank what can go wrong?
I mean, it's really easy. So there's a whole litany of things that can go wrong. You can miss these in the chain of title. You can have things that are misindexed. We've had a couple of those recently where the county actually indexed the names backwards. So it's really difficult to find the right names of who owns a piece, or there's a sell off. So it's really important that you work with organizations that really focus on long-term chains of title and not just going back 2 owners or 10 years, which a lot of companies and organizations do. So it's really important to make sure that we're reviewing those titles start to finish, looking at all the paperwork, dotting those I's and crossing those T's all the way through, because if it doesn't happen, it might not be an issue for the buyer when they buy the property, but it's definitely going to be an issue for the buyer when they go to sell their property. And our goal is to always close a property and not have to pick it back up for any reason. We want it to be closed and we want it to be finalized. And the other thing that I do think sets us apart from a lot of other law firms is even when we know the title insurance companies will accept something that is, in the normal course of insuring over a problem, we get it in writing from our title insurers to make sure that our buyers are protected in writing, so that if we, when I retire, our business, does something different, whatever that may look like, they have a place to go where their title insurance is protecting them on the things that the title insurance company agreed to protect them on.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, let's sort of bring it back to our community, because you mostly serve the West Cobb community, right?
Yes.
And so what brought you here? Why is this where you staked your location? And tell me a little bit about your experience here.
So I actually started right out of law school with another law firm on Whitlock. And so I got started in this area and met a lot of people in this industry that I dearly care about and have relationships with and do business with. And so it has always just been what I've called home since I've graduated law school. And first opportunity my husband and I had to move out this way, we did within about a year of us getting married. And so we've been in West Cobb ever since.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So let's see, talking back to your business, I know you're very values based. So what values are important to you when you sort of think about the business that you've built, and sort of those, ground rules or framework that you've decided to grow your business?
I think it's interesting. I think it doesn't have to be too complicated. And I think my dad always said to me when I was looking to start my own business, and when I was looking to start running my own business or open my own law firm, he always said that if you have integrity and are honest, the business will come. And I think that has always been a guiding factor in what I do. And I think one of the things that people will stake my reputation on is that I always, always, always want to do what is right, both for my client and for the closing process itself. And so I think that when you have those values in place, the rest of it just sort of comes. Yes, of course, you have to have a good business mind. And, one of the things that I would tell you that I am very, very good at and very diligent about is there's not a job in my office I can't do or won't do. I am happy to sit back there and go over a closing disclosure, or enter a closing disclosure, or order payoffs, or do some of the, details of the things that maybe my paralegals typically handle. But that creates a partnership between me and my people in the office, so that we're all working together for one thing, which is to make sure that our closings happen without fault or failure.
Wonderful, wonderful. And, outside of your business or maybe just in the legal industry, who are your role models? Who are you trying to emulate, either professionally or personally?
So, it's interesting because there aren't a lot of, I think when you sort of look up to people, you have to pick and choose the things about them that you really enjoy or really like. And so, of course, your Abigail Johnson's, she's the CEO of Fidelity Investments. I think it's amazing that she took the company from the $1 million company that it was to the multi-billion-dollar company that it is today. And then you have your smaller people, like people in Lark. I think her name is, Chelsea, I can't remember her last name, but I've watched her a little bit over the last few months, and she's really interesting to follow because she's was a very small business owner, started on Etsy, and then created this multi-million-dollar business making organizational baskets for the home. And so I look at people, especially women, who go beyond what they statistically should be able to go beyond, or what they statistically should be able to do based on what most women with their education and their background are able to accomplish. And so I always like the ceiling breakers. I always like the women who are innovative, or people who are super innovative in their industry and create something new. Those are the people that I tend to follow and tend to watch and see how they do things and what they look for. And I heard a podcaster one time say, you look for the strengths in people. You don't look at the things they do sort of negatively or what they're involved in. You look at what they do well. And I think that both of those women have taken businesses and built things better than they should have been based on where they started.
Love that. Love that. So what are you reading? What are you listening to?
I am not reading a whole lot right now. I am taking a hiatus. I'm an avid, voracious reader. And so I have actually taken a hiatus from reading for the next 2 months because I typically don't read between October and December because I'm spending so much time with my family. I read a lot of books on education. I have a daughter that has dyslexia. So I read a lot of books on her dyslexia and how to best, make sure that she's getting what she needs. I read a lot of Christian journals and books of that nature. So I do a lot of that. And then, as far as, I like historical fiction. So I really enjoy those types of books. If I'm going to read something, I typically read something with some type of historical background or, some type of war background or something of that nature.
Love that. Love that. Well, good. Good. Well, why don't you go ahead and just sort of remind us one more time how to vote, where to vote, and maybe one more why to vote for you.
Okay, sure. You can vote with the 2024 Best of Cobb, and it is under attorneys and real estate. My name again is Amee Davis, and I'm with Davis and Associates. And, I think that we are just one of a lot of attorneys out there who do a really good job. And so we would certainly appreciate your vote. So thank you.
Wonderful.
And thank you for having me today, Amee. I appreciate it so much.
We appreciate you so much as such an active member of West Cobb Business Association, both you and Derek, and all that you give back to our community and our organization. So thank you so much for your time and good luck. Thanks.
Thank you. Have a great day.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.